What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D Mac, and we're about to get into part two of this story, or not the story, but the scenario that I painted earlier for everybody. And so that scenario was this: Black women's reverence for Black pastors. And I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into this because, it's something that needs to be addressed. And I got my boy coming on, so let me go ahead and get my guest up in here. Yeah, add to the stream. What's going on, brother?
Yo, what's good, bro? What's poppin', man? Yo, this Phonics man from Like the Truth, man. What's going on, y'all?
Hey, man, it's glad to have you on the show, man. Welcome to have you, and let's dig into it, brother. Tell them a little bit about yourself and your show, man.
Yo, man, Phonics man, I've been a podcaster for like 4 years on YouTube, off and on, maybe like 2 or 3 years. I come from them old school YouTube heads, man. Before all this sensationalism, man, where dudes was actually dropping knowledge. So that's what me and D Mac trying to get back to, man. We're just trying to drop knowledge, man. You can find me on Instagram at Phonics, PHONICZ, on Twitter at the same handle. Yes, sir.
For sure, for sure. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. I started off this morning, man, and I started the preference because I was saying that, you know, in the Black community, the only Black man that ever really got respect was the Black preacher for a long time. And Black women, they look at the Black preacher with a certain level of respect and a certain level of, it's kind of like looking at a soldier. When you look at a soldier, you expect certain things out of that soldier and what they represent. And they've always given Black pastor that respect and stuff like that. But a lot of them are falling short nowadays, man, and it's hurting the church. So what you feel about that, man?
Well, what I feel about that, man, is I remember years ago, man, when I was in the Nation of Islam, and I was talking to a brother about, about the time my old lady, like she wasn't into that. She was a Christian or whatever. And he said, well, the reason that you can't get her to convert is because she doesn't see the God in you. And that would be, for me, the same comparison to the preacher. They see the God in this man, whether it's true or not. That's what they see. And that preaches everything that they want their husband or their future husband to be, or their boyfriend or their future boyfriend to be, or future child's father. And the preacher has used that to his advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's really messed up a lot of things at home. But bro, can you really be mad at them when most people who go to church are searching for something anyway? They're searching for something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you got that person that,
most of the time, most of the time when you come into the church, you come in because you're broken and you're looking for some type of release or some type of solution to your issue.
Exactly.
So I mean, but and you hit the nail on the head for me, man, because a lot of times we have people who will come in the form of a pastor, but they don't have good intentions, man, and they will use that to manipulate people, and then they will begin to give the church a bad name, and it starts to push people away. So, what do we do as a people, man, to address this? Because it seemed like this is something that's always been off limits to address. This is something like if you was to confront a pastor who wasn't in line with the word of God, then it's almost like you get demonized. You're a straight demon if you question a man of God. So how then can we call out these things that we see in the church without us being ostracized and demonized from the church?
Um, that's impossible, brother, because then you want to get people on a higher level, a higher plane, a higher thought process, and that would be spirituality. That's not saying that you can't keep your current religion as you follow it, but if you don't have a true relationship with God, you can continue to go to these buildings all you want. You still going to be missing something. You know what I'm saying? God isn't in the church. God is not in the mosque. He's not in the synagogue, any of these places. That's where like-minded people are supposed to congregate and go praise him. However, if you're seeking for him in those areas, then you're in trouble because the God rests within. And the preacher, the imam, the rabbi is supposed to be a tool through which God is using him to transfer his message to the people. But you're not supposed to worship said man. And I think that's the problem that we're seeing. So until a person can get a spiritual base, a foundation within themselves, bro, they're gonna continue to be lost, man.
I'm glad you said that, brother. And you touched on something that I want to kind of go back to. You said it causes problems in the family, and that's where I was going this morning when I was speaking, and I was talking about the slavery and how they would do the buck breaking, and they would break your husband down. They break the strongest man down in front of everybody to put that fear in the woman. And so the only man in the black community back during the slavery times was the preacher. And so they would pretty much respect the preacher's word over their husband's word. And in these days and times, we will have situations like that to where if the husband ain't a part of that church or a member of that church or active in that church, pretty much if that wife is active there, then that pastor's word is going to trump their husband's word a lot of time. And this is something that keeps a lot of men out of the church. And men don't like to talk about this, but it is a reality in the church that men feel sometimes intimidated or jealous of the pastor and the respect that the wife or the pastor that she won't show him.
Man, it's funny you say that because I had went through that. With my kids, I'm saying, my ex-wife, I used to, I tried to, I say, look, man, I gotta try to make this work. So you know what? I'm gonna get into this whole church thing with her. And they were Pentecostal, man. And we went 2 times a day. You went in the afternoon from 12 to 2 or 3, you went back that evening. So yeah, I seen the same, her pastor, about the same age as us at that time, maybe late 20s, early 30s. They called him elder. He had a wife. His wife was there all the time. His sons was there. Daughter was there. But I should just look how she used to grin at this dude and all of that. And I had to ask, like, why is he talking to you, but he's not talking to the other sisters in the church? Oh, it ain't nothing, and blah blah blah. And she had the nerve to even had this dude come to my house to try to convince me. And things almost went left because I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you right now. Did I feel threatened? I didn't feel threatened, but I just felt like, damn, this dude has a certain influence over you that I don't have. And how do I get
Yeah,
that?
yeah, brother. Now that right there is the where I want to go and open this Pandora's box, because this is where we get touchy for a lot of men in the church, and they don't want to talk about this stuff. But there is, and sometimes if you got a good pastor, man, women like men in position of power, period, point blank.
Right,
And then if you have a woman who haven't had a good relationship with a father figure or a male authority in her life, period, she's going to have that reverence towards that man, looking at him almost like a father, a surrogate father. And so that's hard to contend with as a husband, especially if things is rocky, and you not
right.
in line with the word, or you going through your own stuff. Yeah, she always gonna see that man in a different light, and that causes a rift between y'all. It make you feel some kind of way as a man. But then there's those ones who are using people, the ones who are manipulating people, and you see it, you're able to recognize it for what it is, but for some reason all of these people are caught up in it, and so you choose not to get involved with it, and you speak out against it, and you almost like an enemy, and but then whenever this man
Exactly.
is exposed for what he is, then all of a sudden they want to try to take up for him almost in a sense and make excuses for these men. And this is why these types of men flourish in the ministries and stuff and don't get caught for years, because people have grown accustomed to making excuses for them. And so when you
Hmm.
don't make excuses for these men and you go to confront these men, you're demonized, and this is something that we got to stop doing. Especially, it don't matter, like I said, whatever you believe is what you believe, but every religion all the way across the board is dealing with these issues. You know what I'm saying? So we as men, man, we have to understand the origin of the relationship between the black woman and the black pastor, but we still have to address these issues when we see them, because we're not always dealing with a man of God. A lot of times we're dealing with a wolf in sheep's clothing. So we have to be able to be on our P's and Q's so we can determine which is which, so that we won't cause any ruckus in our wives' spiritual growth or whatever, and we can still stay on our thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But you know, again, bro, that's such a hard task, being that the world that we live in today, and you know, people are, you know what I'm saying, people are looking for something, man, and you know, especially how evil and terrible the world is. So this is pushing a lot of people deeper and deeper to their pastors and to their faith. And like I said, man, we've seen this various times, man. You know, where you know the pastor seducing the women and he's sleeping with all the women. And again, you have to ask yourself, number one, what's wrong with them? Because you want to get that close to God that you feel like you should have sexual relations with them, even though you're breaking the commandments because you're married or you're fornicating. But that's
But
okay.
this is the delusion that some people will tell themselves, oh man, and this is, the part where it gets real dicey, because people will start to try to use spirituality. Man, I was reading a story, it was about a week ago, about this woman who's suing a pastor because he convinced her that she needed a full body naked anointing rubbed down. And so my first question was, how would she think that this was possibly something that would be acceptable in the church? And two, why would she go through with it and then ask people about it after the action has already been done? So somewhere in her, she was desiring something with this man. And these relationships get so messed up. And like, when you counsel as a leader in the church, that's one of the biggest things, because people feel a certain level of gratitude towards you. And like I was saying earlier, some women don't know how to show their appreciation outside of giving sex, because
Right.
that's all they've done all their lives. Whenever they felt a certain way towards a man or something like that, or had some respect for him, they felt like they had to sleep with him, because they felt like that's all that they had to offer. And so when you're in that
Absolutely.
position, you have to be aware of that and know how to wisely handle that without hurting their feelings and pushing them away, and still not accepting those advances, man. So I feel for a lot of those dudes that's in those situations, but I don't feel for them at the same time, because they understand what comes along with that position and that responsibility.
But yo, bro, but yo, listen, they love that. You know what I'm saying? I was just talking to my old head yesterday, and we was talking about Elijah Muhammad, and he was reading off Elijah Muhammad basically had 20 children, man, and he only
Yeah,
had what,
yeah,
I think eight from his original, from his wife. You know what I'm saying? All these
yeah,
bastard children. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
You're right.
and they thought he was a messenger from God, and they still think that. And these
Well,
women slept with this old ass man. Go ahead.
because they always socialize. I was looking just through history today, and pretty much 99% of all black leaders have some connection to a religious organization.
You're
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Every single person that we considered throughout our time as a black leader, a black community activist, or whatever, they're connected to some kind of religious organization, whether it's the Islam, whether it's Hebrew Israelites, whether it's Christianity or whatever. But we've never had just, a brother who really just had love for the community that was lifted up on that level. So it seemed like you got to be a part of some type of organization to really get the black community behind you.
Well, remember what you said at the beginning of this discussion. Um, that was a dude that was uplifted. That was the only dude that really wasn't getting shitted on, so to speak. So throughout history, people have seen, well, it's not just good enough for me to be a leader. I have to have a religious, you know what I'm saying, connotation to it too. So people will follow me. Hence, Reverend Al Sharpton. I'm from New York City, bro. I don't know where his church is. I don't know where this man's church is. Never knew. Reverend Jesse
Wow.
Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
all these
Yeah.
men had to have that, had to associate with God, so to speak, to get the unwavering support of the people and the blind following and the utmost respect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But even still, you know, we have such a broader range of intelligent and high positioned black men in places of influence now that this whole scenario is kind of fading away now because now black women have other black men in successful positions that they can look to other than the black preacher. And so some of that sense of entitlement that can build up in these black preachers is being threatened. And now you're starting to see some of them do some unethical things. And like Jamal Bryant, he was all up there with Ahmaud Arbery's mom. And I was like, look at this opportunist over here trying to get in to see if he can get him a free check somewhere. You know, and
Hmm.
that's a bad way to be thinking about our preachers, but this is the type of reputation that has been placed on the black preacher nowadays because they always begging for money, they always got a nice car and they looking good, but they congregation ain't looking like. This has always been the stereotype and the stigma that goes with a black preacher, and for their influence to be fading with the black woman because now there's other successful black men to look at. You know, it seems like they're going outside of the box, and that's where it gets dangerous for the people who really trying to live for God because
Well, you
they get so caught up in trying to entertain and trying to get the business minded people up in their churches that they start looking past the ones who really living for the most high.
Oh, I totally agree. My old head calls them poverty pimps, and that's exactly what they are, man. But yeah, you have to understand. Yeah, and I can only really relate too much to Islam within most of my adult life, and in the Nation of Islam in particular, like that grew from an organization which basically was founded by poor people and the downtrodden, and what I'm saying, Elijah Muhammad. They were really known, renowned for cleaning up drug addicts and dudes from prison, and now it's a bourgeoisie organization. The people that you see who are leading it, these are very educated people, very wealthy people. They don't come from Malcolm's background. I mean, even Farrakhan himself doesn't come from Malcolm's background. He's not no street dude. That's not why he joined the nation, because he was just into the streets. No, he wasn't. So the point I'm trying to make is, and this is true across all religious faiths, you know, that's what they're into now. They don't want that regular person just dropping 50 cents every Sunday in the collection plate, or $1 or $5. Nah, bro. They need 1,500, 2,000. You know what I'm saying? Like Creflo Dollar Church, I used to hear a rumor where they said he wanted to see your W-2s. They used to say that.
Yeah.
That- For real, the members, I used to hear that from people. People like, yo, in order to be part of his church, he had to see your W-2. Yeah, yeah.
What's going on? What's
18,
going on, Reverend Tony? Hey, my man, Self Awareness TV, Reverend Tony, dropped up in here. Peace, my brother. He said,
Peace.
most pastors want to run single mother households. Their pastor is their man. Bro, oh my goodness. You know what? That right there, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, my brother. That was that was straight from the spirit because this is something that I witnessed, firsthand. And I sit back and I observe things, man, and I don't speak on things because I'm like, God allows me to see these things and witness these things, so I know how to deal with these situations whenever I have people in my life that deal with that stuff. And man, yeah, some of them get to that point to where they start and they fall into that line of what David did when he started to census the people, when he started to count the people, because now you're relying on the strength of the numbers in the people than you are on the most high. And so that's why I see a lot of these pastors be struggling financially, because they looking at the numbers so much. And
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah,
Them
you
W-2s.
absolutely he said, yeah, you're absolutely right on that. When you got those single moms who got a good job and they spending all of their time and all of their effort and energy in the church and all of their money in the church, when a dude come along and catch that woman's eye, some of them pastors be acting kind of funny, and man, it's just something I feel like as the men, we don't, even if we're not in the church, if we got our women be in these environments, our women have friends in these environments, and we have people in our circle that's always trying to pull us in, you know what I'm saying? But when we see these things, these inconsistencies and all of these things, we have a duty, pretty much an obligation to confront these things. And I'm supposed to go to my brother, and I have a witness with me. And if my brother ain't willing to receive that, then we take it to the elders of the church. And if we can't resolve it there, then we'll take it to the pastor of the church. That's just how the order of things go. But there's nowhere that says that I shouldn't confront my brother when my brother is out of line and I see the manipulation and the tactics that he uses. And that's what we have to get past. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, well, you just don't like so and so." No, it ain't that I don't like so and so, and I don't like the spirit that they're allowing to motivate them to do the things that they're doing. And so I'm like this. I'm attacking the spirit that he operating under. I'm not attacking that person, because this is a spiritual battle. And when you fighting on a spiritual plane, you got to see it from that aspect. So I can't say I hate nobody. I hate the spirit that they operate in. And so when I
Right.
see these people in the church, especially when they're in a position of influence, it's my duty to be able to confront them when they out of line.
You right, but a lot of people don't do that because it's a popularity contest. A lot of people don't want to lose their positions and their titles, man. So they don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And they've been doing that too forever. They turn a blind eye when the pastor be doing stuff. They be knowing. They be knowing, bro. But they turn a blind eye. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Right.
another thing where, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, religion, spirituality is supposed to be truth. If you ain't living in that, man, then you living foul anyway.
Bro, I did an episode and I was talking about people who put their value in the titles and stuff like that. And you have some people that are in the ministry that have so much in them, but they get bypassed for a person who has a title, and that person who has that title relies on that title, and they're not relying on God, so it comes back to a character thing. That's the common denominator all the way across the board that I'm seeing, is it comes down to a character thing, because you're going to have some pastors out here who really have a heart for the people, but they're not going to be the ones that get the big mega churches. You understand? Because they're going to be the ones, like there was a pastor, rest in peace, Pastor Stephen Darby. And you could pull up some of his videos on YouTube and stuff. And this dude, he not gonna sugarcoat it. He know who we are as a people, and he know the system that we having to deal with in, and he break it down in the spiritual aspect. And this brother was, when you hear his videos, man, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna start to open up your understanding in some areas and answer some questions that you've
Hey,
been
bro.
asking, but he
Hey,
wouldn't get that big exposure like a TD Jakes or a Joel Osteen or any of those guys, because of the unadulterated truth that he would speak. And these are the things that step on people's toes. These are the things that the other pastors would say, well, I can't say that because I might get people to walk out of my church. He would say those things with the potential for people to walk out, because it's the truth. He said, I'd rather see your soul saved than to see you sitting up in here every Sunday thinking you cute. going to hell, and your soul and your spirit is just dying every day. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I'd rather plant a seed that's going to lead you towards growth and have you to walk out that door. And
Right.
that's the type of mentality that we need in these days, instead of people who are going to appease the crowd and try to, try to do what the world is doing to draw people in, because now you're mixing in the world with the word, and that'll never work. It ain't never worked throughout history.
That's true. That's true. But let me tell you something also, bro. You know what I'm saying? And not to go too far off topic, but we dealing with a generation that's coming up, bro. They don't give a damn about no religion and no faith. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a damn about it. No, I'm not talking about the minority. I'm talking about the majority. They don't give a damn about all of that. They care about money and fame and vanity. That's all they care about. You know.
Yeah, but see, that was prophesied in these last times. That's exactly what it was going to come down to. It was the vanity of man, because when they knew God, they glorified and acknowledged God, and they were vain in their own imagination, and they made themselves God. And He said that you're not going to be able to serve two masters. Either you're going to love one, or you're going to hate the other. One being God, and the other one being money. So we understand that money is a god on this earth, even though we who really know that it's just a tool that we use for bartering and for the things that we need while we're in this world. But there's other people who have made
Indeed.
money their god. And so,
Indeed.
yeah, I understand those people. I understand their mindset and how to deal with them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because and that's another thing, man. You know, them same pastors you talking about, there's been a lot of people that's been burned from them, and so now they passed down to their family. Nah, man, f religion, f going to church. Nah, f God. If that's God, then I don't want no part of that. Because you know what I'm saying, that pastor slept with my sister, and he had kids by her, and he had other kids, and he was married, and they do that too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Vern, what's going on, Uncle Vern? Uncle Vern said money is the root of all evil. Hey, I want to take that a little bit further, Uncle Vern. The love of money is the root of all evil. Because that money, like I was just saying, that money is just a tool. It's just something that's made an inanimate object that was made as a tool for us to use. But our love for it, our desire for it, and us making it this level of value is what's causing the murders, what's causing the deceit and all of that stuff. Because really and truly, our money ain't backed by nothing. The money that we have, all of this currency that we making these big money phones and all of that stuff, ain't backed by nothing except for the promise of oil, because it was backed by gold and silver back, but like since not I think like the 1950s or 40s or something like that, Fort Knox have not had enough gold and silver to cover our money. And so if you look at the value of the US dollar in all rights and intents, it ain't worth nothing. And so what we're killing ourselves over and dying over and doing all of this stuff over really don't have no value other than the concept that we put behind it. So what are we really doing? What are we really doing, man? We have to understand what we're losing our lives out here for. And
Nothing.
yeah, I understand we gotta have money. I understand that, but to what extent do we have to have it?
Exactly, and that's you absolutely right. Everything you said, and that's the problem. These people are serving two masters. Everybody is so what I'm saying, thirsty for money and fame. They're willing to do anything, man. They're willing to do anything, and it's absolutely shameful, man, and it's saddening, especially when it comes to our people, man. Because as I said before, they don't. It's not enough to have a noble profession. You know what I'm saying, and all of that.
Yeah.
Be a doctor, lawyer, whatever. I got to be a stripper. I got to be a rapper. Well, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, you absolutely, man. Money got people out here doing licking toilet seat covers because they think that's gonna get them enough views. You got people out here eating Tide Pods because they think that's gonna get them enough views. You know what I'm saying? putting their lives in danger. Many people done lost their lives trying to build up YouTube pages and stuff like this, man. I put out a video yesterday. I like to mess around on TikTok and stuff like
I
that. Just
see it.
make little silly videos, man. And there's one I made about the Mississippi rapper. Everybody just kind of, I guess they like it. You know what I'm saying? So it's been getting quite a few views today, man. And people like, oh, you need to go and do this and do. Man, I'm gonna just keep on doing what I've been doing, man, because I'm not doing it for the views, man. I'm doing it just to bring a smile or a giggle to somebody's face for the day like it did for me. That's
Right.
it. If a lot of people jump on it, cool. If six people like, cool. It don't matter. But yeah, man, people get so caught up in that stuff, and I'm never going to put myself in that position on this YouTube in this YouTube world, man. And these guys get their pages monetized, and then they be just like those church pastors. Now they looking at the numbers. Now they looking at the subscribers. How many subscribers can I get this week? I got to do something to get, and it's that same energy that they carrying, man. So I promised myself that I wasn't gonna do that because I wouldn't do it in the church, and that was one of the reasons why I sat down from that and backed away from that, and I won't do it on here either, man.
Word, I feel you, man. I feel you. And I don't think I'll ever get the subscribers as a lot of these people or any of that. And it's for the simple fact is because I'm not talking that BS. I'm not talking about what they want to hear. And it's such a strong population on YouTube that's with the fuckery, man. They like the BS. They like the sensationalism. They like talking about grown men, so-called grown men beefing with each other over blocks and neighborhoods that they don't even own, or beefing over a color, or beefing because somebody said this, and it's so-called beef. Let's be real. These dudes is clowns and cowards. They don't even know what real beef is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that goes into another portion of what I wanted to cover, and I'm glad that Reverend Tony said this because we got these gatekeepers. Now you got the WAC 100s and all of these guys. These guys are gatekeepers. These guys who have been around the block a time or two, and they
Word.
know how to manipulate and they know how to run game and get people to do what they want them to do. And they've been given a responsibility of how to keep the people in line. WAC, he has a base in the gang world because of his history and stuff like that, so he's a gatekeeper for those gangbangers and stuff. And you have different people who are gatekeepers in their respective places. And a lot of these pastors, that's what they originally was created for, was to be a gatekeeper and keep the people docile and passive. And so when we looking at these same gatekeepers in the music industry, in the sporting industry, because you got the LeBron Jameses and these guys, the Magic Johnsons and all of these guys who are the gatekeepers in that respective area. So
Mm-hmm.
so when you're looking at all of these gatekeepers, man, it makes you wonder, is it really skill that gets you in your position, or is it other things that get you in your position in that world?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And like you said, man, it's a sign of the times because these people have become so prominent. Like they're so prominent in our society, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
who would ever who would have ever thought that a whore and a stripper could have the ear of the president of the United States? That's just crazy to me, man.
Hey, well, in all honesty, JFK had one.
Oh, you talking about Marilyn Monroe. But he's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She was just a jump off. I'm talking about Kim Kardashian, Cardi B. They actually sat down with the president to try to talk about quote unquote real issues affecting quote unquote the black community, quote unquote.
yeah. Now that's one thing that blew my mind. How is it that we've had community leaders like the Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharpton, who have so-called been fighting for prison reform and all of that stuff for all of these decades. And you have Kim Kardashian go up to the White House one time, and she's able to start getting people out and start getting legislation going. Yeah, that really. That the scales of balance are way off, man, as far as our society and what to prioritize. And
Okay,
so
so you
we
feel
have
me?
to understand that as the OGs, we have to understand that about this younger relationship, that they priorities is off, man. Cause I know,
Absolutely.
man, I be talking to my kids, man, and you know, some of the things that they say surprise me. It surprises me in the sense that I thought you knew better, and then some things surprise me in the sense of, dang, I didn't know you knew that. But you know, it's a hit or miss with them most of the time. But I make sure I'm communicating with them just to see where their mind is at, because you know, we assume we know, or we assume that people should know something, but in actuality they don't, and they're scared to ask or scared to admit that they don't know. You know,
Indeed.
so we that's why we have to have these open dialogue, man. So we might just ask a question that they was really wanting to ask, but they were just too scared to ask because they didn't want to feel dumb.
Indeed. I agree with you. 1000%. And that's what we're here for as parents. As parents, especially when it's so much bad information getting to them. Like we literally have to get to them and ask them questions and see where their minds at, man. Like that shit is real important, man. Because like I said, bro, it's getting worse and worse. And hopefully my kids don't have any role models like those horrors that be on TV and all of that. They've never expressed that to me. However, everybody looks up to somebody.
Yeah,
Everybody. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And it seems that for us, it's just these entertainers, man. Like they can do no wrong. They can do no wrong. You know? Even when they
Yeah,
do
I
do
be
wrong.
Yeah, and I be talking to them, and I'm like, you know, whoever they like, I'll be like, well, why do you like that person? And tell me the qualities about that person that makes you like them, or make you say that that's somebody I admire. Because you know, I want them to understand that a lot of this stuff that they're seeing these people doing is not that real person, and I want them to be able to separate the real from the fake so that they don't get led astray, because a lot of these artists, what I put them at fault for is that they'll portray this image to our children all the time and have our children following that image, but that's not really them. And so now you put my child in a place to where he think it's cool to put his life and his friends' lives in danger when you're not really about that. And I have a real problem, and I got
Right.
to address those types of artists, because you're really being used like a gun to destroy your own community, and you don't even see it because of the money that you're getting, and the OGs that's calling you big bro because you got money.
Right. Right. Definitely. Definitely. And I think this whole game thing is out of control to me anyway. And that goes to show you that we just have a lot of people that don't read. Because Stanley Tookie Williams, former co-founder of the Crips, he left an excellent book behind. Um, that he explains to you his life and his whole life, man, from basically from the womb to the tomb. Because when they put you on death row, they ain't doing nothing but bury you alive anyway.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And he expresses all of this. But it's nobody talks about that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody talks about that, bro. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and that's one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and get that book too, man, because I want to definitely start putting that narrative about these guys out there other than that other stuff. And let me catch
Yeah.
these comments. So I've been on it, man. I ain't been saying none of these comments, but let's see, Reverend Tony said the pastors are taking money from the community, doctors, nurses, dentists, daycares, community upkeep, security, and education. Our communities are ran by imposters. Man. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's why it's up to us to have the discernment to be able to see who these wolves are. Because, like you said, in the time we live in an era of mental health. Mental health is one of the top issues in the United States right now. And this is the playground for anybody who wants to manipulate a weak minded person right now in our country. And then we
I
living
agree.
in a capitalistic society. So that's like water and oil right there. You got mental health people who still functional, but then you got capitalism where people who gonna capitalize on their misfortune. And so you
Hmm.
constantly got this battle between those who are taking advantage of people who really just going through some stuff and they don't have the mental capacity to deal with it like that. So, man, we got so many issues in this country that we have to address, and not only address, but attack them, man. So that's why I say we ain't got no time to be stopping and explaining to people no more. They need to start digging in the references and the resources that we've been digging through to come to the conclusions that we've come to motivate us to do the stuff that we're doing. But stopping every 5 minutes to explain what's going on, we don't have time for that, man.
Right.
And my man said, "What about the indirect relationship between the pastor and the drug dealer?" Oh, see, you trying to drive up in people parking lot now. This right here is one of those things that is also very, very taboo because I said this before about the black mother. So it's funny how it ties in with that. Because if a child is out there and he's selling dope or doing whatever he's doing in the streets, if he start making a substantial amount of money, mama gonna turn the blind eye. And same thing
I've
with
seen it
Pastor.
happen.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Reverend Tony. Because Pastor will turn a blind eye if you go ahead and fill up that collection plate and be like, well, the what's that scripture they love to always say? The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. That's that justification scripture that they use for taking that money from them drug dealers out there in the streets, knowing where it came from, man. So there's so much of this stuff, man, that we as black men, whenever we talk about it or whenever we bring it up and even let the people know that we see what's going on, now all of a sudden, you speaking against the church. You trying to be a tool of Satan. You trying to destroy the house of God. You trying to destroy the ministry. No, I'm trying to get the ministry in line. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
doing. I'm not here to challenge you, but the word is going to challenge you if you're not in line with it. So whatever I say is going to be from the word, and if you feel challenged or threatened, then that means you're not in line with the word, and that's you, not me. And it's,
Hmm.
it's frustrating, brother. It's frustrating, brother, to be in a position, man, where you got a heart for God, man, and you want to do the right thing, but you see these organizations are not they're not going to fulfill my spiritual needs and my personal relationship and personal studies and my personal time that I have with God is far more beneficial for my spiritual growth. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
they try to make you feel like if you're not a part of this organization and you're not giving your money and your time to this organization, then you're not of God. And
No,
I
wait.
can't rock with that. I can't rock with that logic, man. It's not the truth because the church is not a building. The church is the people, man. And the church had always been the center of any community. And every community that the black people built, the church was built first, and then everything else was built around that. And so nowadays, you look at it, most of the members of your church come from a whole different side of town. The people that fill up the church in your community ain't even from your community. So what is that saying about your community outreach? You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
see, but see, you just hit it on the head. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you just hit a
Oh
couple
no,
things
go
on the
ahead.
head. The first thing I want to hit on the head that you said is um about, yeah, they only like you if you're one of them, bro. If the minute that you question and you go against that, now you're a non-believer. As in Islam, they call you a kafir. You know what I'm saying? You're a disbeliever. So those people don't want anything to do with you anymore. You know what I'm saying? And then you brought up the demographic. No, because if they're in a poor community, how are they going to be able to get ahead? A lot of these preachers want that to be their livelihood. They want to be the Joe Osteens. You know what I'm saying? They want to be the TD Jakes. So they have to attract people with similar economic status. You know what I'm saying?
But
That's
see,
the
man,
only way.
well, see, bro, I'm from down there where you from. I'm from North Carolina. I grew up. My pastor was a farmer. He would work every single day, and he ran the church, man. And if we gave love offering, we did. If we didn't, we didn't. He earned his own living. You know what I'm saying? He didn't rely on the church to be his source of income or none of that stuff like that. So when I got out here in Texas, really, and started dealing with stuff, that's when I got introduced to churches being a business, having an LLC on the end of it, and stuff like that. So that was a, a, a culture shock to me, pretty much, because I don't ever want to look at it in that terms, because that's one of the reasons why Jesus beat them dudes up out the church, because they up in there selling stuff. And you know so I have my conflicts and I have my issues with certain things and certain ideologies, and I'm not going to stand down just because somebody has a title. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier about people love to put their identity in those titles and stuff and think that you're supposed to bow down to their title. But brother, your title has absolutely no power. The power is in your belief. The power is in your faith and your relationship. And so I know some people who have absolutely no title, but I hold them at a much higher regard as far as uh trusting them with spiritual things going on in my life. A title is not going to determine that. Your relationship is. And so we just have to get an understanding of that. And I think as a people, if we do, we'll be able to point out those ones who in there taking advantage of our sisters. Point out those ones who in
That's
there
right.
taking advantage of our babies, because they in there messing with our babies now.
That's right. And yo, this is off topic, but it's part of your comment. Vernon's a little he's under the influence. Vern, can you get your old dusty ass off here, please? We're having a real man conversation right now, bro. Get your dusty ass out of here. Like and share, Vern. That's what you can do. Like and share if you can find it. And remember, the camera on your phone isn't a mic. All right, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
I
Vern,
love
man.
you, Bird, man. I always love you, Bird. That's my dude.
Now,
But
but back
yeah,
to what you
man,
were
I
saying though.
just want
You talking about
look.
titles, but you're on a higher level. People people do worship those titles. Like my thing is, how you gonna call Farrakhan the honorable? What the fuck makes you honorable? What makes you more honorable than me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I'm 40 years old. I'm not calling no other 40-year old nigga no elder. You're not an elder. You're not an elder. You haven't reached that status yet. And it really has. It's not just mentally. It's life experiences. That's what makes an elder. It's not all about their mentality. It's about what they've gone through and they've survived it. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
why I tell young people keep living. Don't say this to me. Keep living. You know what I'm saying? You keep living, and more things will be revealed to you. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, you absolutely right, man. Keep living, and like you said, we when we was talking before, we in this age where everything is fast paced to them, and so they don't have the patience to see 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And but we just got to keep reiterating that to them, man. Keep beating it in their head, because the same way our parents and our grandparents was looking at our generation, we're gonna have to tighten up on this one, man. We can't let them go. Can't let them go,
Yeah, but they
man.
could drag us to church. Yeah, but they could drag us to
Yeah,
church, and we'd actually get up and sing and dance and clap and all of that. We might not. We might doze off a little bit during the pastor's sermon, but we getting up and we dancing and we all into that. Not these kids. You got to whip their ass to take them to church. They ain't trying to go to no church, but I can't use my phone in there. I can't use my tablet. I can't get on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Their attention span is so low. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I do, brother.
that
When you went
is,
to church, you had to sit your ass down. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
man.
Or when,
I taught children's church one time, man, and see, like I said, I got a background in mentoring kids, and so I have a way of getting them involved. Because when you get them involved, man, and you make them feel like they're giving you some information, then you get them to interact with you, and they're gonna get more out of them kids. But when this is like you just sitting up there and you talking at them and you just lecturing them, yeah, they gonna drown out the most of their attention span you're gonna get is about 17 minutes. And so, but if you interact with them and you get them having a conversation back and forth with each other, and we're teaching each other, then you're gonna get way more out of those kids, man. But it's like nobody wants to take the time. They want the kids to come in there and be obedient and honor your parents and all of those things, but they want to skip over where it said parents don't provoke your children to wrath, and saying those things like that. So they want their
But can I
kids
ask
to
you a
pretty much
question?
come in there and become a slave, but they don't want to bend their will towards their children. And so, like when you said earlier, when a kid see mom and daddy acting a fool all the time, and then they run up in church and trying to act all sanctified on Sunday, no, they don't want no parts of that, because you just have a form of godliness and you denying the power.
Well, you're absolutely right. And again, that goes back to what I was saying about you have to have a spiritual base first. It's not just I'm going to sin from Monday through Saturday and then I'm a saint on Sunday. It doesn't work like that. But that's been the hypocrisy that we've been taught since the beginning of time. And this doesn't just come from us. This comes from the slave master. That beast did all kind of stuff to us Monday through Saturday, but he left us alone on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? While he went and worshipped his God and we worshipped ours. You know what I'm saying? Then it was back to raping our women and beating us on the back on Monday morning. Can't see Monday morning. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
this is nothing new, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. We have, in my personal humble opinion, we have to break the traditional um forays and mores about how we practice quote unquote religion. Because the only thing religion means, bro, is that you do something over and over again. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
the only thing religion means. In Islam, they call it a deen, which means a way of life. It's a way of life. You know what I'm saying? Religion is something that you do. I religiously go to work. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. So you can call work my
yeah,
religion. But when does it become a way of life so that we can incorporate this into everyday life? I ain't talking about sitting your kid down and they don't read scriptures, you beating them. Or you constantly scaring them, talking about, well, if you do this, you go to hell. And if you don't do this, nah. I'm talking about making it a part of life to where it's not just it feels like I have to do it, I want to do it. But go ahead, bro.
yeah.
Well, then
That's
they got
it. My kids, whatever my kids see me doing. Hey, Uncle Vern, what's up, man? Go ahead and get your word in. My bad.
AD Mac. Don't you ain't got to apologize. Look at man, I agree with you because you said your kid. I understand. You got kids. You got to train them. You got to bring them up in the right way. That goes with life all the time. But I'm gonna go back to what the young man was just saying about yeah, I forgot what he was talking about. But it
He
goes
high,
like
y'all.
this in life. Okay, it goes like this in life. When people sit up there, they make their decisions. You can make your decision to do whatever it is you want. You can make your decision to follow, or you can make your decision not to follow. But you have to live by your decisions. You understand me? And that's where your life is going to be at. Things are going to come into your life. People are going to come into your life. They're going to try you. They're going to play you. You understand me? But it depends on where you see your bread buttered at. Me, I see my bread buttered with Christ, and I stay in Christ, and I learn, and I grow in Christ. So therefore, I won't have no problems. Everybody else gonna have problems because they're not in that same kind of situation. They're not going through that same kind of order. So they think it's out, or all this stuff is out of order. I used a statement like this earlier. I said it's hard for a child to learn. You understand me because of the fact, even with potty training. Just think how old you gonna be until you learn to stop shitting and pissing on yourself. 4, 5, 6. I mean, what age do it come? It can come early through knowledge, or it can come later through trials and tribulations in
How old were you,
life.
Vern?
Before I start,
12,
I think about
13?
one and a half, about 1.5, probably 2 years old. And then
Mm.
that was the least of my concerns. Is sitting on myself, feeding myself was the biggest concern. That's why I had to rely on my parents. Now I don't have to rely on my parents. I had to rely on Christ alone. I had to rely on my parents at first. I couldn't rely on Christ because I didn't have
Yeah.
no
So,
order. I didn't have no understanding of them. Okay, back
when
to you,
you
D
was
Mac.
a
I'm
babe,
sorry.
you drunk milk. I feel you. I feel you. I know exactly what you're saying. Because when I was a babe in Christ, I had to drink milk. Now I'm at a point to where I'm wanting to chew on
Me.
some meat. I gotta
There
have
you go.
something with some nutrients that can satisfy my grown body now because I'm
Right.
growing and I need something that's gonna meet that need so I can sufficiently go forth and do what I gotta do. I'm following you, Uncle Bird.
Yeah, and see, D Mac, you got to see that me. I feed off the word of Christ. Believe me, all the time. And even when I go into conversation, I go into conversation off the word of Christ. Because, like I told this young man before in our past conversations, even if I'm wrong, I'm right. Even
That's
if there ain't
good.
no
Mm.
such thing as Christ, even if Christ never stepped foot on this earth, I'm still right because it ain't nobody else
Mm,
could take his place. Satan can't
wow.
do it because if it ain't no Christ, it ain't no Satan.
Yeah. Say that. Say that then. There you
Yep.
go. And like I said, man, we all have our foundation based in something, man. But I tell all people this, man, believe in something, man. Whatever you believe in, give your whole heart to it, man, and don't play with it. Because that's gonna determine sometimes it's gonna be a determination between you making a decision that's gonna take your life or save your life. So you better be grounded in something because you'll fall for anything if
Yep.
you're not. Yeah,
For
and like I
anything.
said, man, my studies
Yeah.
over the years, man, I went through, like I said, the Hebrew Israelites. I've been through a lot of the teachings of Islam. I've been through the
Mm-hmm.
Rastafarian
Mm-hmm.
teachings and the Holy Pivot.
Mm-hmm.
I studied all of this stuff in depth, man, because I just wanted the truth. I didn't care where I got it from. I just wanted the truth. I wanted my spirit to bear witness to the truth, man. I ain't care where it came from. And so I was on that search, man, and still searching because what I've seen, man, is that you find a little bit of truth in everything, man. And so I
There
don't
you go.
close my mind off to nothing. I leave my mind open to things, man, and I allow God to show me what's real and what's not. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, man, it's going on about an hour,
Hey,
man. Let me get up off here, man. Go in here and tend to my wife. She feeling a little bit under the weather, but man, I appreciate y'all fellas coming in, man, and tackling this with me because I really wanted to get this out in the atmosphere. I don't want this to be a taboo conversation because the day, like you said, this generation is coming up. The church got some things that they gonna have to confront head on, and ain't gonna be no time for skating around it and beating around the bush. The church is gonna have some solid answers for these kids, or they gonna lose them totally. So, man, that was the whole
yeah.
purpose for this whole daggone podcast, man. I appreciate you, Reverend Tony. I
No
appreciate
doubt.
Uncle Vern,
I
as
see you tomorrow,
always.
Vern. Vern, I see you tomorrow.
All right. Okay. Hey,
Finest,
thanks, D
finest.
Mac.
I appreciate you. Yo,
No problem, D-Mac.
what's that, Uncle Vern?
I said thank you,
Nothing.
my brother. I appreciate you letting me on, man. I don't want to mess up your rhythm, man. I love you, and I want you to keep up the good work, bro. I want you to know I'm always on your side, bro. For real.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey, I
always on that
appreciate it,
other brother.
man.
I'm always on that other brother side too,
Oh,
but I need him. I need him to come along a little faster. He ain't getting younger. He getting older. He need to catch up.
hey, D-Mac. Thanks, man, for having me on, man. I'm gonna kill you tomorrow, Vern, on my show. I'm
Yeah,
gonna kill
right.
you.
Hey, man. Good night to y'all, brothers. I love
All right,
y'all,
bro.
man.
All right, bro. Love you too, buddy.
All right,
One.
y'all. Yep, yep.
Hey, uh, so y'all know what I say, man. This your boy D Mac. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.